So what I've done here effectively is given this talk the most boring speech I could possibly think of, just to manage expectation clearly. But I think when we talk, well, firstly, hello, I'm Tom, lovely to see you all. So I'm Commercial Director at Ascot Racecourse. For those who don't know, hopefully most of you do, but that's we're a horse racing venue in the south of England. And I think the first thing, what's absolutely key to this topic is that we're pretty old. So we are in 1711, so over 300 years ago. Queen Anne, who was on the throne at the time, happened to ride through a little area of Berkshire and declared that this would be a lovely place for horses to run at full gallop. And ever since then, really, racing's been happening at Ascot. So we are steeped in tradition, but although we're steeped in tradition, and I see a few people that we work with and have worked with in the past around the place, hopefully you'd agree that we are still quite progressive, and we like to look to the future, and we like to leverage the values, the British values that are at the heart of Ascot, but to use it to lead our sport and to keep finding a place in culture and being culturally relevant. And obviously racing's at the heart of what we do, but a lot of what I spend my time doing is looking at how we can take the brand beyond racing. Now, we are a multifaceted business. We have 26 different event days through the year, but on top of that, we have a 365-day-a-year event business. We run our own catering business. We have our own design studio. So there's lots going on. For the purpose of today, what I'm going to focus on is Royal Ascot. So Royal Ascot is our showpiece event. Happened a few weeks ago in the middle of June. Happens the same every year. And for those not familiar with it, I'm going to play a little video here just to show a bit more about what we get up to there.
Imagine a place where the everyday doesn't exist. A place of mythical millinery, of majestic manes, a place so jam-packed full of magic moments waiting to happen that you can't fail to find the right spot for you, to find the best version of you, to find the Ascot you. There you are. Ascot is your oyster, and if you don't like oyster, then it's your pizza or your caviar. Because there aren't just Michelin stars here, there are Michelin constellations, Michelin galaxies, and you are a gastronaut. This is about you, and we like our cutlery clean and our burgers dirty. And if you're still hungry for more, then this place will deliver. Ascot has got it all. But we are all just living on a prayer, so don't stop believing, because we're up all night to get lucky. But these are the tracks you're here for. You see athletes at the top of their game all competing to make you the winner. You're here to scream till you're so hoarse you could strap a jockey to your back and run the race yourself. And when the day's at an end and you're surrounded by the glory of horses with heroic epithets from Stradivarius to Cigaro, from Frankel to Yates, you'll know that you're part of a story hundreds of years old, of traditions spanning the reigns of kings and queens, a loyal mascot of Royal Ascot, and we'll be here waiting for you to do it all again next year, to once again find the Ascot you.
So that's actually our ad campaign from this year, and I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. The beauty of Royal Ascot really is at the heart of it. There's 4 different enclosures, and across those different 4 enclosures, where if you look here, the top left, you've got the top hat and tails. That's the royal enclosure. That's the bit that everyone kind of knows, where everyone gets glammed up and pretends to be the royal family for the day. Top right, you've got what we call the Queen Anne enclosure, which is very much our summer garden party. Lots of party vibes in there. Then down the bottom left, you've got the village, which is, and again, I'll talk a little bit more about the village enclosure shortly. But that's effectively a music festival that happens in the middle of the track while racing's going on. And then you've got our Windsor enclosure, which is effectively the world's biggest pub garden picnic. And the beauty of Royal Ascot is that, if you want to spend £25 and come with a picnic, then, you can come here and absolutely do that. If you want to spend a slightly more eye-watering amount and put silly clothes on for the day, you can also do that. So Royal Ascot is a bit of a beast as well. I think if you dive into some of the numbers, this year we were up at 295,000 guests across the 5 days. So it's a pretty large offering and operation. 634 horses competing across the time from all over the world, actually. We broadcast around the world as well, 190 different broadcast territories. So, and key for us is that we're actually free to air in a number of those territories. So in the UK, we're on ITV, Australia, Channel 7, NBC in the States as well. Really important stuff. 120,000 scones were served this year, which is no mean feat. Even more importantly, 65,000 bottles of champagne. We have it on fairly good authority that this is the biggest champagne moment in the world. There's 32 Michelin stars cooking, which is a number that gets massive every year. But there's over 30 different sit-down restaurants across the site, and a huge number of amazing chefs cooking for us. 313 music performances, so it's not just the racing. As I say, there's plenty going on outside of that. And of course, 3.5 miles of bunting. Why wouldn't you? So it's big, it's massive. And we are lucky to enjoy some cultural relevance. We are part of the British summertime. We have been for many, many years. But there is a real job for us to understand, how do we maintain that position, strengthen that position? How do we change? How do we evolve to tastes? This whole conference has been about the human touch. How do we change to that differing sort of taste for what people want without getting rid of what's special to us? There's a quote I quite like, actually. It says, "Change does not change tradition, it strengthens it." And it's not from probably not a usually quoted source of wisdom. It's actually from His Royal Highness Prince Philip, who's perhaps not best known for, well, he's very well known for some quotes, actually. But I actually really like this. And the way I interpret this is that, if you are going to change, I think you first have to be really, really clear on what you're not going to change, actually. What are the bits that as you evolve, you are going to make sure you absolutely protect? And there's a few for us. I mentioned the racing, and I've mentioned lots of other stuff that happens alongside the racing, but I can't stress enough that racing remains at the heart of what Ascot does. So we have 26 race days. We're actually governed by an Act of Parliament which tells us that the course and everything that we do has to be for the good of British racing. So we don't have much choice in the matter, actually, but nor would we want to. So everything we do, and trust me, we've turned down plenty of revenue, plenty of opportunities, because we've always made sure to protect the racing programme at the heart. So that's pretty fundamental for us. That won't change. There's other features of Royal Ascot as well, which are quite special. Any of you have been, might have seen the royal procession. So for the last 200 years, at 2 p.m., the royal family all come from Windsor Castle, get into the carriages in Windsor Great Park, and come right through the town and down through the track into our parade ring. It's an amazing moment, and it's become absolutely part of it. That thing has not changed an inch since it started, basically. The one slight concession I did have actually last year, because it was the 200th anniversary, we made a documentary, and they let me put GoPros on the carriages, actually, which is the only thing I've ever made them to do differently, which, as you'll agree, gives a nice horse's arse view of what happens in the parade. I'm not sure what I was expecting from that, actually, but quite cool to do anyway. And there's plenty of other stuff. I've mentioned the dress code in the royal enclosure, the top hat and tails, the hats. That won't change. Bottom left is an interesting thing. Again, for those who aren't very familiar, we have a car park at Royal. Bear with me. We have a car park at Royal Ascot called Car Park 1. Car Park 1 is basically a berth that you can't get one. They get passed down through families. Lots of people have to pass away before you can get one of these berths. And they hold, as you can see, the most amazing picnics. And that's an element that we maintain. The commercial part of me wants not to, obviously, because I'm not supplying all that food. But actually, that's something we'll keep. Afternoon tea, singing, having a sing-song in the evening. These are all key parts of the event that absolutely do not change. So as we look forward, though, what ways can we evolve? What ways can we evolve so we remain relevant, but also play to our strengths and keep within our traditions? And there's actually 5 areas I've highlighted here. There's plenty more, but I think these hopefully all make sense and have some relevance to what you will do. So the first, you saw a little of it before, actually, is the campaign. And we're incredibly proud of this. We're incredibly proud that within our sport, we believe we do more than most to try and drive the profile and try and give ourselves coverage. And you saw it there. The positioning we use in our heart of our campaign is called the Ascot U. Now, the Ascot U is basically founded on the insight that fundamentally, whoever you are, whatever you do, you can be exactly who you want to be at Ascot, whether it's, it's the very best version of yourself, whether it's how you dress, whether it's how you celebrate, whether it's what you eat. This is the place to be the Ascot you. And that's something we've used for a few years and we're very proud of, but it's got bigger and bigger each year. And we push to make sure that we have the coverage. We probably arguably overspend in terms of where we place this. And we also flex it. We are very, very mindful that the scale of the event that you operate, as you've seen, there's lots of stuff going on. And we might need to appeal to the fashionista. We want to bring food through what we do. We want to bring the entertainment and music through what we do. So we continue to involve these. And this is a stretch. And again, those of you who work in sports, particularly for sports rights holders, might be familiar with the challenge of not just doing an ad that is fundamentally purely about your sport. The fact that there's not a horse in these adverts, that is a contentious issue, and that has taken some time to sort of build the business and build the stakeholders to understand that actually we can have the confidence to know that people know us for horse racing, but we can continue to build outside of that too. And I'm very mindful of the brief here today, and I'm not going to delve too far into the world of data, first-party data, and our customer stories. But however, it is important to know that everything we do from a campaign perspective lives and breathes through the contacts and the customers who we hold on to. We invest a huge amount in this because we think we have to, actually. I mean, if we're being completely honest, we are a sport and a product who operates with some level of risk. We are aligned with gambling and gaming and betting. We talk about animal welfare, quite a lot. So we have to be very mindful that regulations can change. Things might change with gambling, advertising, for instance. So we have to own our customer, and we spend a whole lot of time and money ensuring that we do. And the benefit of doing that means that every communication and campaign that we send out can be personalised to the experience that they want to have. So we have the campaign. The second area I wanted to just touch on was content, actually. And even if the experience doesn't really change, or certain elements of the experience don't change, as you saw with the Royal Procession example, what can change is the lens through which we show it. And content enables us to do that. Now, I really hesitate to call what we do in the world of celebrity and famous faces an influencer program, because they're very much our guests, actually, for the whole week. But whether it's Superman to Stanley. We actually hosted KSI's birthday party this year at Royal Ascot, and even had Jim Skin down, which was the collab I don't think anyone thought we knew we needed, but worked pretty well for us. But actually, the fact that we have so many different experiences and we can use these people and work with them to create pretty real, genuine content is a massive help and a massive push for us. On top of that, we always play with the techniques as well. I'm really serious when I talk about actually showing the same experience through a different lens. So even the classic elements, this is, I'm very much informed that this is called tilt shift. So there's basically a sort of really painstaking process to film this, which makes the whole of Royal Ascot look like a model village. But we do like sort of 2, 3, 4 different techniques a day. We bring people in to help us with this, always looking to push the boundary. And even if, as I say, the experience within that bit of grass there doesn't change, the way we show it absolutely can change. Platforms are important as well. I mean, I've taken that sort of slightly scruffy picture from the wall of our office, actually. And whilst I'm sure in the context of some of your businesses and some of the rights holders and names here, getting the plaque for 100,000 subscribers on YouTube isn't a big deal. 2 years ago, we had 14,000 subscribers. We didn't do anything on YouTube, and we're up at 171,000 now. We build full-length documentaries. We use our archive well. We have full highlight shows, whether it's the racing or actually even the social side as well, deep dives into lots of different areas. And that's been a bit of a game changer for us, I think, again, in shining a slightly different light on the experience that Royal Ascot offers. The third bit is the experience itself. And as I say, some things don't change with the experience. But at the heart, there are certain bits that really can still evolve. I mentioned earlier the village enclosure, so it is very much the whole middle of the track which is a huge expanse of land, actually, if you've ever been to Ascot, turns into what is effectively a music festival. And what's been amazing is over the 10 years that we've done it, we've seen it grow, and this year we saw phenomenal growth. So we were about 15% up year on year. And what was incredible to see, because similar to what Shane from the Lions, if any of you were here earlier, you may have heard him talk about that 18 to 34 audience, which may be surprising for them. It's the same for us, actually. I think people would perceive racing to be an old sport, whereas actually when we provide products like this, we can drive more than 2/3 of that 1834 audience to come and enjoy that, and it feels young there as well. And they continue to spend, which is really good for us. And what's been brilliant for us is that we can take that audience as well and bring them along to other events. We can show them, okay, you might not want to come to the one in a month's time because that's probably not for you. Hang on a sec, this festival that we've got, or this big music event that's happening in August, come on down, you'll love it. So the village is a real strong point for us, and it shows how we can evolve that experience. We work with a number of promoters as well, so a lot of the stuff we do ourselves, but we work with a group, for example, called Gorgeous Getaways, who, within an area called Windsor VIP, build a huge Caribbean sound system, and it's phenomenal. It's probably not the thing you'd expect to see at Royal Ascot, but actually, because of the expanse of the site, because we can evolve it and divide it into these enclosures, it allows us to do some really interesting stuff. And even the royal enclosure, which is effectively hallowed turf. I mean, back in the day, you actually needed to be invited by the king or queen to be there. Not quite as strict now, but still pretty strict. However, this year, we actually had Tiny Temper as one of our guests in one of the units there. And he came out and did a surprise pop-up, actually, a little show during the closing party on Saturday night, which was cool. So even that we can evolve. I mean, I'm not sure every single person there knew exactly what was going on, but actually you can show even the most sort of untouchable element. We can evolve a little bit. We can do it gently, and we can bring it to life. And also the work with our partners and sponsors. We've got a fantastic set of commercial partners who help us and bring expertise from around the world, from everything else they do, to help us evolve that experience. Number 4 is impact. So talked a little bit about the brand and the institution that we are. And it wouldn't be right if we didn't try and at least leverage that to make some social and environmental change. There's a responsibility there, definitely. This year, as in literally in a matter of a few weeks ago, we just finished installing what is one of the biggest solar arrays in any of sport in the UK across the roof of our grandstand. So that actually generates, or will generate, 10% of our overall electricity through the years. So we're able to make these changes, which will change actually how we operate, as well as what the customer looks, sees, and feels. We had a fantastic partnership this year with the King's Trust. So the King's Trust is a charity set up. It was originally the Prince's Trust, set up 50 years ago, which originally was set out to help young people, give them opportunities to get into work, to learn, and to get by better. And we had this year, it wasn't quite this wasn't from Royal Ascot, just a caveat, but we had 60 young people from the King's Trust in various roles across the site. Some of them were in entertainment and music, some of them were in catering, security, etc. Some of them worked with our broadcast teams, and they were all given an amazing experience to come and work, again, so we can leave that impact for the next generation. And going even younger as well. I mean, we bring, for the first couple of days at Royal Ascot, we'll bring 300 people a day, 300 children, school children from the area, onto the Heath, which is just next to the track, as you can see there. And they'll have a fantastic day, and they'll all get into it for the first time. So again, we're trying to leave that mark on the future, not just the next generation, perhaps the one after that as well. And finally, something called the footprint here, which I'm now looking at it, don't think it's the right word really, but this is about where we go beyond the venue. I mentioned that's important to us. How do we extend our cultural impact? How do we extend our geographic impact as well, which we believe we have a right to do? So I think we're one of very few sports brands who hosts a London Fashion Week show. However, for the last couple of years, we've launched what's called our Millinery Collective, which is the amazing hats that some of the finest sort of designers from around the world will make for us, and launched it. We had a show at Claridge's this year, showing up in a real, genuine way within the fashion world. And we continue to do that. We launch our own fashion guide every year. We have an amazing creative director, a designer called Daniel Fletcher, who helps us each year develop a slightly different take, new looks, something that's newsworthy, that inspires people, entertains people. And this helps us generate more and more coverage in the build-up to the event. And I mentioned global as well. So we had we try and expand where we can. So, for instance, there's a short video here from an event out in New York we did with a couple of our sponsors, and we were able to go and take some of the amazing sort of iconic bits of Royal Ascot, whether it's the fashion, some of the food and drink, and it was actually on display in Waldorf Astoria for a week out in Manhattan, which was amazing. You know, we've done events out in Dubai, we've been to Australia, France, so we will keep pushing that boundary, and it's just another way in which we're able to expand our offering and genuinely create value elsewhere. So hopefully that gives you a clear view of there's 5 areas, and there's lots more, but there's 5 areas where a heritage brand such as ours, a 300-year-old heritage brand, can continue to evolve and can do it in the right way. You know, whether it's campaign content, the experience, the impact, or the footprint. You know, we're either making the event better and more relevant, we're amplifying the event better, or we're breaking into new lanes. But at the heart of it really is that we will preserve the things that make us special. We will keep those iconic moments, those features, you know, that we know and we've agreed and we've shook hands and said, this won't change. Okay, so that will stay. However, you know, we will continue to evolve and tweak and adapt how they're used, but it's all to give the best experience for the customers. The idea of the human touch is super pertinent here. How do we make sure that, you know, the historicness doesn't get stuffy? It's always still welcomed. And we think there's a ton of ways we can do that, and we're very excited for how we can keep going for the next 300 years, if not longer. So thank you very much for having me. I hope you've found that vaguely interesting, but love to see you all. Cheers.